I've noticed that most people aren't keen on using steroids. They know that it's a hormone and that it can impact their body and their hormone balance quite a lot. However, steroids do get prescribed all the time, and a lot of people aren't aware that it's even in the creams for their skin issues or in their eye drops when they have an eye infection. Hello my lovelies, and welcome to another one of my videos in which I'm sharing with you what the impact of steroids can be on your hormone balance and on your fertility. And it doesn't matter if you're currently taking steroids, if it was last week, or even if it was 20 years ago. So as you may know, steroids are synthetic hormones that are prescribed for an autoimmune reaction. And that can be something as mild as a skin issue that isn't clearing, but it can also be for a life-threatening situation, such as an anaphylactic shock, where somebody's throat is closing up because they're having an allergic reaction. Or of course, many of the autoimmune conditions that you may have heard of that people are continuously on a low dosage of, something like prednisolone. And of course, you probably know a kid or two that is using an asthma inhaler that often also contains steroids. Side note, the blue-green ones, those are non-steroidal. It's the red, brown, or orange ones. Those do contain steroids. Steroids are often also used very successfully in recurrent miscarriage cases. If it is a known situation that the woman is dealing with an immune response to a pregnancy and that the body is rejecting the pregnancy, then the steroids suppress the immune system and then can allow the woman to carry full term. Now, this isn't without repercussions, and you should also know that if this is a situation for you, that you're not doomed to use steroids. Homeopathic treatment can actually help you calm your immune system so that you can carry full-term a healthy baby without the use of steroids. But I did want to mention that this is often used and very successfully, but not without repercussions. Because using steroids doesn't come without a price, and there is no such thing as a safe dose. I know that research shows that 5 milligrams a day is without side effects, blah, 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 blah. Yes, all true. But these are the obvious side effects that we can see today. The blowing up of the face, for example, right? But there are so many effects of steroids, even if you use them very mildly in very little dosages. And if you realize something that I said in a previous video, that the amount of hormones we produce in a lifetime would fit on a stamp, that you can imagine that we cannot prescribe such tiny doses that would actually fit on that stamp. Most of them squash the stamp. So how can you expect your hormonal system to not be affected by the use of these steroids? And while there's a time and place to use these things, especially in life-threatening situations, we need to remember that it isn't without effect. We often don't think that medication used in the past could affect us today, right? Because we think that the drugs have left our system. And yeah, that is true, but they have left an imprint on our hormonal system, and we can feel that imprint today. In my clinic, I have found that steroids interfere with adrenal function, and if you realize that your adrenals produce both stress hormones but also progesterone, you can see how that can affect your fertility. So the steroids affect our overall fertility, our progesterone, and our estrogen balance as well. So often I will find women with estrogen dominance, or not even that yet, but maybe with low progesterone levels that aren't improved by making sure they're getting enough sleep and reducing their stress. So short luteal phase, short cycles, early ovulation, that kind of stuff. And because steroids suppress our immune system, that's how they work. We often see that the immune system is compromised long-term as well. So while during the infection might clear from the steroids, long-term you're seeing that people feel more run down, or run down quicker, or they keep battling cold after cold, or they continue to struggle with skin issues, or after using skin creams, they suddenly develop asthma. And then last but not least, for me as a homeopath, this is a big deal. The past use of steroids seemed to block our healing function so much that perfectly selected, tailored homeopathic remedies have no effect, or they have little effect and then it stops again. So if you've used homeopathic remedies before, if you've seen a homeopath but you're not gaining the traction that you would expect or had hoped for, and you've used steroids in the past, then this should definitely be an alarm bell to you. I often see male fertility affected by steroids a lot as well. Sadly, not all partners are on board for homeopathic treatment sometimes. And then we figure out the woman and her cycles are back in order, and we've detoxed absolutely everything under the sun and they seem fine and great, but they're still not conceiving. And it isn't until the guy is then on board and ready to detox something like past steroid use that finally they are able to conceive and have their baby. Because that is the good news. You can detox the steroid imprint homeopathically, like you can with contraceptives or like with plastics that I did in my most recent video. So if you're interested in that, definitely check out the DIY detox protocols that I will link down below. Now, of course, some conditions don't allow you to come off steroids, and I would never recommend for you to just stop steroids without any guidance. Make sure you discuss it with your practitioner before you do that, and that you have very clear whether it is possible for you to come off steroids. I've also guided some patients that couldn't come off steroids with homeopathic support to reduce the effects of steroids as much as possible. So that is an option as well. But if you want to detox steroids homeopathically with, for example, my detox protocol, then it's better if you're completely off them, but you need to make sure that you are able to do that. So I had this really cool case that I want to share with you. There was this lady and it was so fun to treat her, and we sorted out everything, or we thought we did. We were sorting out her painful periods, for example, and she was fantastic at charting, but her case kept telling me steroids, steroids, steroids. She had never used contraceptives, so we didn't detox those. We did detox metals because it's very good to do that for most couples because we're all exposed to metals one way or another. And when there's unexplained infertility, this is definitely a good one to do. But her case seemed so steroidal in the sense that what I just said, perfectly selected remedies would work for a little bit and then relapse, or they wouldn't work at all. So I kept telling her, are you sure you never had steroids? Are you sure? And this one time we went through her entire timeline, and I asked her about everything that happened to her medically, and she told me about this time in her teenage years that she had an eye infection and she had eye drops. And I said to her, darling, those contain steroids. And she said, really? So we started detoxing the steroids. In the meantime, she checked with her mom what the drops were, and sure enough, they were steroids. We started detoxing homeopathically. She had her tailored remedies afterwards, and then she had her baby. I also have another really cool case that I have written out and it's on my website. It's about a mom and her son. And again, it was a very similar situation. We tried to figure out whether they had steroids, and they said that they didn't, and we figured out that they did. And once we detoxed the steroids, finally the case unfolded and they got better. Her cycles got better and the child got better. So go and check that out. I will link it down below. And if you're interested in detoxing, I will, as I said, link that in down below as well. But I've also got a couple of videos on detoxing homeopathically, contraceptives, and metals. So if you're interested in those, click on the playlist on your screen right now. And in the meantime, see you in the next video. Bye.